Welcome to Fujitsu World Tour and thank you very much for being here. I am not going to go into these technologies. I'm going to focus on what do we do and how do we handle and how do we implement and how do we bring it into our organization and how do we manage all the madness. That's what I'm going to focus on for the next 20 minutes. This is a series of disruptive technologies. I'm sure that if you attend a seminar 5 years down the line, you will get another set, maybe one or two of this might still be there. Another 5 years and there will be another set, right? 5 years back, there was another set. There was ERP, there was RDBMS, in-memory computing, there was another set 5 years back. And this will constantly be there. What's the difference between the last set of technology disruptors and this set? Not from the perspective of what they do and achieve, but from the perspective of the IT team. There are critical differences. Number one, for the last set of technology disruptors, like the ERP, let's take that as an example, it was simple. You sized it for your organization, you allocated the resources you needed as an IT department to run it in terms of servers, storage, networking, and the critical decision you took further to that was whether you buy all this gear, keep it inside your data center and run it, or you co-locate it with a provider, or you host it with a provider, right? If you look at this set of stuff staring at our faces today, it's not so simple. Some of them are directly delivered as a software over the cloud. Some of them are best suited to be still in-house in our data center. Some of them have got such wide utilization rates that peak size performance exercise doesn't matter anymore. You need something really elastic like Amazon or Google Cloud, because you do not know what resources you need at what point of time in the year. Maybe you need more for Diwali, less for Christmas, or whatever it might be. So that's one difference. We had a standard way to implement the earlier technology disruptors. Sorry. Right now, there are different ways in which you can implement any of these. And in fact, there are different ways are better for one or the other in various combinations. So those days of simplicity are gone. Secondly, the second big difference between the last set and this set is that earlier it was very simple. You had a project kickoff, milestones, a sign-off, you allocated a budget, and it was supposed to start and it was supposed to end and be utilized by your employees, by your departments. Not anymore. If I take just one example and if I read, because it's quite small, the last two steps of the RPA journey which we undertake, it is continue building expertise and institutionalize RPA. This is of course an automation of processes. You deploy it by various sources and you automate something which is most troublesome or most repetitive, time consuming in your organization. The difference is that today's disruptors are no longer a start, stop, end, finished, project finished. Now everyone can use it kind of scenario anymore. It is a transformation or a disruption in continuum. And the sooner we get used to the fact that today's projects might not have a defining end, but we might need to continuously working on them, the better for us in our organizations. If I give you an example of how disruptive technologies have been used and being delivered by a variety of means, an extreme example of that, I would like to give you an example of a country, Estonia. It's a country, it's a small country, it's I think 1.5 million population. It's in the European Union, and today it offers digital residency and citizenship to any person around the world who qualifies for it. If you go back to your colleagues or to your family this evening and say that, I know how to start a business in Europe without visiting Europe, and start up a real business which can transact, which can sell goods, which can invoice, which can collect money, set up bank accounts, and so on and so forth, you would be right. Estonia allows it. If you are a digital citizen of Estonia, you are, from their perspective, completely at par with any citizen of any country. Same rights, but digital, right? So this is an extreme example of using a myriad amount of technologies to sort out what they perceive to be an immense opportunity. I think there are only a couple of processes which still require a physical presence and signature. One is buying of land and property and stuff like that. But that's something also which they are working on to change. From a survey done earlier this year, we have picked out several topics which you can see on the screens. Again, these answers which we have picked out from the big survey is focused on the CIO's feedback on how do they plan to implement and deal with all the new changes. So this is not about the changes itself, if you see. It is about how do they plan, what do they plan to do with it. And in a sense, you will see that the IT departments are still looking for the same old values. They want returns, they want agility in their IT, they want to contend and support the business and so on and so forth. So I won't read them out. This is what our peers around the world are telling us. If I were to put it in a different lens, under a different lens, it's simple. I think the IT teams feel that they are being asked to do more with less. Even I sometimes get that feeling, at least 3-4 times in a year, that my management is going to do the same to me. Bigger headache, smaller aspirin is what they're going to do. And I'm sure many of us get this feeling sometimes or the other. So, how do we contend and how do we deal with the changes? And how do we succeed in this new world order? Number one, we need to focus on understanding our business, our company's business, our government department's business, our hospital's business, whichever organization we are part of. And most importantly, understand the impact that these new technologies can have on various aspects of our business. We, of course, have to contend with stuff like costs and skills and governance, but we need to be the enablers and the drivers of change. When we understand this technology, we can do it. Lastly, and in summary, if you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the companies that successfully utilize IT in a digital world, they create. They work along with their colleagues, they create, and they are adaptable and flexible, and they realize that the same old ways, paradigms are no longer there. It's not only us internally, it's our customers, they are now around the world, our suppliers around the world, physical locations mattering lesser and lesser. So it's a new world order. Now, we all have legacy IT in our data centers. How do we bridge from that era that we are coming out of, or which we still want to stay in, and we should in some of them, into this new world order? I'll show you a simple matrix of what we can do, and let's just focus on the center part. For each and every IT service and application and process, we can evaluate it and we will find the best fit to get that delivered to our employees to get that delivered to our supply chain, our customers, consumers, website, whatever the case might be. And you will see that for many of these applications and services, you need one or even more methods of deploying and delivering these. For some, a public cloud might be just fine, not something non-critical. If it is down for 20 minutes, there's an outage, link breaks, nothing big is going to happen. For some, extremely critical, sensitive data it's needed in-house to be managed for the governance that has to go along with it. So in fact, Gartner published this slide in 2015, and they said that the IT team will actually be, in a sense, an IT brokerage. It will broker between the technologies available and the various methods of deployment and the users of that technology, and they will not be masters of the entire IT world as it has been in the past, but they will in a sense be coordinators and handholders and orchestrators of this new world order. If I were to put it in a different perspective or in a slightly more explanatory tone, today business users take their own decisions. The marketing department wants one tool, the sales department wants a different CRM, some of which are directly from the cloud, and so on and so forth, and IT has its own requirement. Now you have a situation now, to a lesser or more degree, that different departments are now talking to different providers or are taking services from different providers. How can we bring this madness, or how can we bring a method to the madness? If we in the IT department are able to act as a central coordination agency and deal with all the suppliers on one side and have a common portal for the users as well as management and IT department, we will still be able to evaluate the best provider, multiple providers for the same service perhaps, I do not know. We will still be in a position to evaluate all the underlying deliverable technologies and manage it and make sure that the business users get what they are looking for. And that's because we in IT have the expertise, have the governance. Sales department can say, I want salesforce.com CRM. I don't think the sales department thinks that about data integrity, data governance, customer details, privacy, security. They have attended some seminars, they have made some evaluations, and they want this CRM or a Microsoft Dynamics CRM or whatever it is that they need. Or maybe you have acquired a company whose CRM platform is very good and you want to now employ it for the whole company, right? If I operationalize this a little more, and I will spread out just this portal, the interface, I can present it in a different way. And here it says that all the end users are now provided by us in IT with a service catalog. Just like they would probably see the apps on the iPhone. The business users get a catalog and they are perfectly at liberty to choose from that catalog. And if they want more stuff to be added, we are the ones in IT which approves all the new providers to be part of that catalog. We, on the other hand, still follow all the due diligence and the processes which good IT governance requires. There are several steps needed to manage multiple partners, and this is actually an area where companies like Fujitsu come in and help the IT team to navigate 27 different contracts, some with monthly payment, quarterly payment, or whatever the case might be, and orchestrate all these resources to help you manage it while delivering to all departments what they want to have or what their business demands that they have. The methodology which we follow, it's a very common sense methodology. We look at each layer of the IT, we have divided it into 7, and we follow this process, 7-step process for each and every layer of the IT. This is done with a view to find the best methodology to deliver that particular service to the customer, to the different departments. Let me share with you one example of what we did while following this 7-step methodology, 7 by 7. We have a customer which is a manufacturing customer. To give you a small hint of what that customer is, it is British and it is American and it manufactures tobacco products. So that's the company we are talking about. While employing our methodology earlier to each and every layer of IT, as per my earlier slide, we did the rationalization exercise and our analysis, and we found, which we often find in many companies, that there has been applications bought over time, acquisitions, mergers, so on and so forth, and the existing legacy IT still stays the way it is without an overall thought. And then on top you have today departments pushing for more services and newer services. When we concluded the exercise with them, blueprinting with them, it took us 18 months to implement what our conclusion and our consultancy was. And that was to consolidate most of their requirements onto the Microsoft Azure platform. It took us 18 months to do it, but we successfully closed down 110 data centers around 20 countries for this customer, and now they have a platform, most of which is delivered from Azure, not all of it, but most of which is delivered from Azure. There is some data center still in-house, and there are more applications which they still procure as and when they grow, and technologies they still employ and apply as and when needed. So, how do we start? What do we do? It's a complex exercise, and what I would simply recommend is that it is always possible to start small, and the best part is that this exercise of rationalization of deployment of services is possible to do at a very small level. You do not need to start with the whole big bang. You can pick up any application, any service, any process, employ the methodology, look at it carefully, decide whether you should hive it off to a public cloud, to a private cloud in-house, to the data center, to a business-to-business cloud provider like Fujitsu, or whatever the best means are. What we recommend is pick a process which is especially troublesome to your company. It's prone to errors, it causes trouble, it's a lot of manual effort. Automate it, deploy it with the right methodology, demonstrate the ROI, and you will be able to prove to your company that you in IT are able to give each element of the business what they want in a fully digitized hybrid manner while not losing any control and management perspective on the entire IT stack. So what does this say? Yes, reimagine your business, act now, and manage it with ease in today's hybrid IT world. Thank you very much for listening to me. Have a great afternoon.